Hello and welcome again to Business Ethics. This is week 3, learning module 3. I hope you've been learning and I hope you've been enjoying this innovative new format that allows us all to be flexible with our location and our time. So this week, what are we going to talk about? This week is about philosophical ethics. Oh, now I know I said the course was pragmatic, that we weren't so concerned with theory, we were about how to make decisions and take actions. But in order to make good decisions, they have to have some basis, right? So we're going to look at where do some of our ideas about right and wrong come from, our ideas about ethics. How do we know what's ethical and what's not? Okay, it's all kind of made up, if you will, but it comes from a philosophical, moral, cultural tradition. So we're going to look a little bit about where does some of our modern day American sense of ethics come from. And so one thing we're going to look at is the fact that there are different ways of looking at things. Nice thing about ethics is that nothing is ever black and white. So depending on which lens you're looking through, it might lead you to a different decision. Now, to illustrate that, I have here one of my kaleidoscopes. That china cupboard in back of me is not full of china, it's actually full of kaleidoscopes. That's my kaleidoscope collection. So, you know, if you look at one through one kind of lens, things look a certain way, and that looks very nice. But you can also look at things through another lens, an equally valid and equally beautiful lens. Isn't that pretty? And things can look a different way. So, how do you know which is the right lens to use? Well, it's a matter of judgment. But a couple of the lenses that we use in ethics are two kind of schools of thought, or two forms of analysis. One is called the consequentialist view, and the other is called the deontological view. Oh, now what are those? Well, consequentialist, it's kind of like it sounds from the word. It has to do with consequences. Okay, so when we say that something is consequential, we're talking about, not whether it's significant or not in that sense. We're talking about what are the consequences, what are the outcomes, what's the impact of your decision on people. It's all about human well-being, right? So the consequentialist view would look at, what decision is going to produce the most good for the most people, basically. Now, the deontological view is more, deontology is a word that comes from a Greek word meaning duty. So it has to do with duty, with right and wrong, with morality, with, like that. So it's more values-based than results-based. So what's an example? Okay, let's take the little white lie. Okay. From a kind of morality point of view, right and wrong, duty point of view, we know that it's wrong to lie. That's kind of a principle. However, might there not be situations where the result of lying would produce a desirable result? I mean, you could think about the little white lie. It's wrong to lie, but sometimes telling a lie might actually produce a better result and save people from danger. If you take the case of the people who hid the Jews from the Nazis, right? Of course, they lied to the Nazis about it, but we would call that, a moral lie. They did it for very good and moral reasons. So, in that sense, we justify it, but it does run in the face of, oh, it's wrong to lie. Okay, so you have to weigh these two things. So we're going to look at that, and one of the philosophers that we're going to look at is a German philosopher named Immanuel Kant, and he was active during the Enlightenment, which was around the same time that the United States was just in formulation as a country. And some of his thinking is very fundamental to even the way we have structured our democracy. And one of his key points was that the most important thing is to respect the dignity of each individual human being. Okay, so now Kant decided that what makes us fundamentally human is our ability to make free and autonomous choices. And therefore, that ability, that autonomy, is the most important thing. And so we have what we call Kant's categorical imperative is, first of all, that the rules that we make for action should be universally agreed by all people. So they're kind of fair, they apply equally to everybody. And then also that you should treat every person as an end in themselves, not as a means to an end. So that's respecting the dignity of each human being. So keep in mind that concept of autonomy. We're going to refer back to that a lot in the course when we do an ethical analysis, like what's the impact on people's autonomy. You know, if you're not able to make a free and autonomous choice, then it's kind of not a real choice. And so when you put people in that kind of situation, it starts to become unethical. So we're going to look at that. So keep those key points in mind. Read the chapter. I have slides on the chapter up there also that will kind of highlight some of these key points. And then there's a quiz on the chapter that once you've read everything and studied, you can take the quiz. So good. So I will interact with you during the week, and I'll see you next week.